All right, we've got to talk more about Apple Vision Pro. Apple gave me another opportunity to experience it yesterday, and that was my first time using it since I tried it out at WWDC the day that it was announced. I've got a lot of thoughts, I've got a lot of notes, so let's just jump in and go through the things I experienced in this demo. Let's start with the setup. Setup is very simple and very easy. All you do is put on the Apple Vision Pro and then press and hold on the digital crown. And when you do that, you're greeted by that hello that's written in cursive that you see when you're setting up a new iPhone or a new Mac. But in this case, it's just floating in the room in your field of view, which is very cool. From there, you hold your hands out in front of your face so that the Vision Pro can scan your hands, and then you can see your hands inside of the Vision Pro as you're using it. And it also goes through what I consider to be a fairly quick, maybe about 1 to 2 minute setup where it kind of optimizes your gaze and matches up the Vision Pro with how your eyes move around. Because if you didn't know, your gaze happens to be like your mouse cursor. Wherever you look, whatever you're looking at inside of Vision Pro, that's what you're going to be able to select as you're going through the interface. So you look at something and then you pinch your two fingers together to select it. Kind of like you move your mouse cursor to something and then you press the mouse button to select it. Same thing. Once you're done with that, you come to what's called the home view, which is basically your Vision Pro home screen. It's where all your app icons are floating in front of you, ready to be selected. So at this point, the first thing that I interact with is the photos. Inside the Photos app, I was able to see some 24 megapixel portraits as well as a 48 megapixel photo as well. Now remember, this is like room scale photography. So the window is gigantic in front of me and I'm able to stretch and bring that image in and like zoom in on the eyeball or the nose or the lips or the fabric of the clothing. And it was incredible. The fidelity inside of Vision Pro it's ridiculous. It's not something that I've ever experienced in any other VR headset. And to be clear, in case people are wondering, I have owned the Oculus Rift, HTC Vive, Oculus Quest 1, Oculus Quest 2, and the Meta Quest 3. So I have close to, I'd say, about a decade of familiarity with similar headsets, but I've never seen anything with the fidelity that I saw in Apple Vision Pro. From there, I went into the panorama photos, and you've never seen your panoramas until you've seen them in Vision Pro. It's absolutely ridiculous. So you open up a panorama and you can see it in front of you flat and stretched out, which is still cool. You've never seen them that way. But you can then go into an immersive view and that panorama blows up all around you and surrounds you. So now you're looking anywhere you turn, you're seeing your panoramic photo. And it doesn't show you the entire photo like within the borders. So in other words, if you're looking at the bottom of the photo and you kind of peer over or lean over, you'll like see into it even more of your photo like kind of hidden away. It's a very cool effect. So I was able to experience 3 different photos, one in Miami Valley, one in the Redwoods, and where was the other one? The other one was in Iceland. All very cool, obviously. And then from there, we went into the spatial photos and spatial videos. Now, these are going to be the 3D images and 3D photos taken either on the Vision Pro when it comes to spatial images and spatial videos, or spatial videos captured on a device like this. Right now I'm shooting on an iPhone 15 Pro Max. So if you have an iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max, you can use those to shoot spatial video as well. And I actually recommend people start doing that now. You don't have to wait until you own a Vision Pro to start getting this content. If you have special moments with friends or families that you're gonna want to see in Vision Pro, and spoiler alert, you're going to want to see them in Vision Pro, start shooting that stuff now. It is incredible. So the first spatial photo that came up was some kids celebrating. There was a piñata, someone's eating cake, it's a birthday party. And what stuck out to me most was the way the piñata was kind of flying out of the frame. So you have a frame, it's like a square floating in front of you, but it has so much depth to it. So you're looking into it, but then there was a piece of the piñata that was actually coming out and coming towards. Again, very impressive. Then there was a family having a meal at the table. I don't know if it was dinner time or breakfast time. I forget what time of day it was, but it was shot on a Vision Pro and it was like at the head of a table and facing people who are eating. So there's people at the sides of the table and someone at the other end of the table. And I asked at that point, are you able to set up Vision Pro on its own to record these videos? So does someone have to be wearing Vision Pro to do these recordings? Or can I set it up on like a tripod or something and just hit record. And I believe the way it works is someone has to be wearing Vision Pro in order to start a recording. Then I watched a spatial video recorded from an iPhone 15 Pro. It was a parent and a child blowing and playing with bubbles outside. Now, obviously these bubbles are floating all over the room, a very heavy 3D effect to them in a good way. But the other interesting thing was the aspect ratio of the iPhone video was similar, 16:9, whereas I believe the spatial video shot on Vision Pro was closer to a square, or at least a less wide rectangle when it comes to the aspect ratio. I don't know if that's something that's selectable when it comes to aspect ratio or not, but it's just something that stuck out. Next, I tried the environments, the built-in environments that you have with the Vision Pro. This was magnificent. This is where you can turn the digital crown, which is at the top right of the Vision Pro. You turn it clockwise, and the more you turn it, the more immersed in an environment you become. So in other words, if I just want to have a little bit of the environment in front of me, I just turn it a little bit. If I want it more to the sides, maybe 180 degrees, I turn it a little more. If I want to just be enshrouded 360 degrees, I just turn it all the way, and you are, for all intents and purposes, you are there. Again, I go back to the fidelity. The fidelity of the Vision Pro is so impressive. No screen door effect here. You are looking at this environment as if you were sitting there or standing in this place. These environments are live, so to speak, so they're not just static images. So I don't know how to say the name, so I'm not even going to try, but I'm in Maui looking at a volcano. The clouds are moving, and there's like a subtle audible sounds as well. It's very calm, very serene, very cool. Now, when you're in these environments, you can still use your apps. So I used Photos, and I used Safari to browse the web, and I used a third-party app called Yumly, which is like a recipe app. And all of these were in my field of view, but of course I'm moving apps around, putting some to the left, putting some to the right. I moved one like up to the left, and as you move these, they actually stay pointed towards you. So in other words, if an app is right in front of me, it's like flat in front of me. But if I move it up and to the right, it'll kind of go up and to the right, but kind of tilt down towards you a little bit to make it easier for you to see all of the content. So you basically have the 360-degree space around you to place your different apps. And one other thing, in most of what we've seen from Apple, if someone's doing multiple windows, they have like 2 or 3 windows like spread in front of them. And I think some people have taken that to mean that you can have a maximum of 3 windows open, like it's almost like Stage Manager or something on an iPad. That's not the case. You have an M2 chip inside there, which is similar to what you get on a MacBook Air or the Mac Mini. You can have as many windows as that M2 chip can power. So if you want a couple in front of you and a couple behind you and one up near the ceiling, as long as all those windows aren't eating up your processing power, you can easily do that. It's also very easy to place these apps. There's a bar at the bottom. You look at the bar, you pinch your fingers together, and now it's like you're holding the window, and you can push it backwards to move it further away. You can bring it right up front and have it be like right close to you, move it to the side, whatever you want. And the cool thing about this is as you're moving it, there's a subtle shadow under the app. And that shadow, I mean, it's impressive in its own right because the shadow appears in your real world view as you're moving the app around, but it also gives you a subtle cue as to where you're placing it in the real world. So you can see that shadow moving, and you might see it like above your coffee table or something like that. And you know, okay, I'm placing this app right above the coffee table or right over there by where the carpet ends, whatever it might be. Very subtle little cues that just add to the experience. The other thing I tried in Safari, Apple calls it look to dictate. So there is a virtual keyboard, which I did also try, and it worked totally fine. There's been so much online lately on social media, especially about how terrible the virtual keyboard is going to be in the Vision Pro. Can I type on it like I can type on an actual hardware keyboard? No. It was my first time trying it, and I found it to be pretty simple. I got very used to typing on an iPhone screen keyboard. You know, when the iPhone first came out, I wasn't typing as fast as I do now. Now it's just second nature. I imagine it's going to be similar in Vision Pro. Once you get a feel for where and how deep you need to press on the keys, you're going to be good to go. But look to dictate was very cool. Again, remember, I told you your eyes are kind of like your mouse pointer. So in Safari, for example, if I look at the URL bar, it's already selected, and all I need to do is just speak a URL. So I looked at the bar and I just said apple.com, and it just took me to apple.com. I know there are going to be places where you might not want to use your voice out loud to speak these things, but if you're just at home or basically not in a public place where you feel awkward talking out loud or don't want people to hear you, it's so much easier to just look, say where you want to go, and have Safari just take you there using your voice. So easy, so simple. Okay, Apple Vision Pro is a spatial computing platform. It's not just for gaming. In fact, Apple hasn't said very much about gaming at all. It's not just for watching movies. It's not just for entertainment. You can get real work done in Apple Vision Pro as well. And what better way to highlight that than by using Keynote inside of Apple Vision Pro? So I opened up Keynote. There was a deck right there waiting for me, and I can see the pre-prepared deck. I can scroll through the deck and see the presentation. But what was cool was I was able to take my deck into a custom environment. The environment was an empty boardroom. So I'm in an empty boardroom. There's a conference room table in front of me. All the chairs are empty. I did say it would be cool if you could put some avatars in there so you feel like you're not talking to an empty room, but I digress on that. Basically, you are able to practice your slide deck in a conference room environment. So you have your presentation behind you on a wall, on a projector, and then in front of you, you have your current slide and your next slide so you can see and your guide of what you're talking about. And then you can just practice giving your presentation inside of an environment where you would typically give a presentation. And I gotta admit, this demo took Keynote from being something, it's Keynote. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, right? But it made it something fun to try. In other words, if I did have to make Keynote decks, I don't know, I might practice it in the fake conference room. Why not? All right, next we moved on to checking out a 3D object. This was ridiculous. If you haven't seen my first one, I'll link it down below, by the way. The first time I did Vision Pro, I tried it out. At the very end, there was the dinosaur demo where the wall opened up and a dinosaur walked into the room and I was able to get up, walk up to it, look at it. Again, super high fidelity. It was very impressive. This time, I used a third-party app called JigSpace, and I was able to bring in a life-size F1 car right into the room. It was 100% scale, life size, high fidelity once again. And I was able to stand up, walk around, like look inside of it, look at the tires, walk around this car. And then I said, can I pick this thing up? Can I make it different sizes? What if I want it to be bigger so I can get a really close look at this tire, for example? And I was told, give it a try. So I put my two hands out again, pinched, opened it up, and immediately I could see in front of me the percentage of the scale of the car. So I can go from 100% to 125% or 130% and make it big and to get all the details, right up in my face. And then I can make it super small. So I made it 25%. Went back to the couch. I sat down. I brought it back to 100%. And you can manipulate it too. So I started turning it and then I grabbed it and brought it through my body until I was sitting in the cockpit. I let go and it was literally as if I'm sitting inside of this F1 vehicle. I had the steering wheel in front of me. I had the window. I could look to the sides. It was as if I was sitting inside of this car. And again, I had it at 100% scale. You're not going to get it any more accurate than that. It was very cool. Once again, I know I'm saying that a lot. It was very cool. It was very cool. It was very impressive. That's going to be the running theme of Apple Vision Pro. It is giving you experiences that you haven't had really ever. And it's so intuitive. You don't need to have joysticks in your hands or controllers in your hands. You're just using your hands and just manipulating these objects in your real world. All right, up next was entertainment. If you didn't see the news, Apple has so many streaming partners now. They're going to have over 150 3D movies ready to go at launch. Your iTunes movie library, if you have purchases in your iTunes library, anything that has a 3D counterpart, you'll have access to that at no extra charge. This is similar to like when Apple added 4K to Apple TV, and if you already own the movie, they just gave you the 4K version at that point. No upsell, just free of charge. That's happening here with 3D. But also some of the streaming partners will also have 3D content like Disney Plus, for example. So I went in back to the volcano in Maui and then pulled up on Apple TV the Super Mario Bros. Movie. That recent one that came out last year. Hilarious movie. Loved it so much. I hit play and I'm watching this movie clip in 3D. Now again, I said it last year when I was watching the Avatar trailer at WWDC inside of Vision Pro. This is the best 3D experience I've ever had. Not only is it bright, you can make the screen as large as you want it to be. HDR, like it is fantastic. And the 3D, like it has so much depth to it and realism to it. I haven't experienced 3D this good at a movie theater. I haven't experienced 3D this good when I owned 3D TVs or even in other VR headsets. This is just another level. Then Apple said, hey, those environments that you tried, developers can also build their own environments for their apps. So let's go into Disney Plus. Went into the Disney Plus app. I had environments I can choose from. The first one I tried was the Avengers Tower. I'm sitting on the roof of the Avengers Tower in New York City. The Chrysler building is over there to my left. I forget what was over to my right. There's a bunch of Easter eggs in the scene. Like there's some shawarma from Iron Man's favorite shawarma spot. There's a Captain America's shield is over. Like, it is so cool. Like, you're just in the environment, just kind of looking around, just taking it in. There's so much to look at, there's so much to observe. And again, it feels like you are there. You're here. You're here. Avengers Tower is real. It exists. And I am here on the rooftop. Then we switched over and I went to Tatooine. I'm in the Star Wars world, the Star Wars land. And I'm sitting, I forget what these vehicles are called. I don't know if am I in a pod racer? I'm in a Star Wars vehicle. I believe it's a pod racer. It looked like a pod racer. And then I watched a trailer for Star Wars A New Hope. Now, this wasn't in 3D. It was just a flat trailer. But you're sitting here, you start the trailer, it dims the lights for you. So basically it becomes nighttime. And I'm trying to watch the trailer, but I find myself spending all my time as the trailer's playing, just looking around the environment. I'm just looking around because there's so much to see. There's so many little details and it feels so real. It tricks your brain into really making you feel like you're there. I'm on this alien planet right now, and there's a movie trailer playing in the middle of the sky, but I really want to look around and just see what else is out here in this world. I do also want to note the audio has no business sounding as good as it does. The Apple Vision Pro supports spatial audio, but it has these super thin speakers that are built into the side of the unit that rest by your ears, and they sound so good. It's almost shocking. And that was the precursor for me to see more Apple immersive video. Now, this is a specific video format that uses 180-degree 3D 8K recordings that are captured with spatial audio that really take you into these videos. So it's not like you're watching a 3D video on a virtual screen or even a flat video on a virtual screen. You are inside of the video content almost as if it's happening in real life. And when it starts, like, this was just it was like different clips, and I feel like it was the same clips that I saw back at WWDC. But when you start the video experience, the first thing you see is Alicia Keys right in front of you, leaning against a piano, singing a song in, like, not on a stage or anything, but just like in a hotel room. And it's so uncanny and interesting because it is as if Alicia Keys is you're just chilling in this hotel room with Alicia Keys and some other friend. Like, there's just people there, you're just chilling, part of the group, and she's just having a jam session right in front of you. And then there's a bunch of different, see, you're flying over mountains, you're going underwater with sharks and great whites. You get a view of a soccer net, like above the net, and watch someone kick a goal with the ball going past the goalie. You've got a baby rhinoceros that literally just walks right up to you and is like chilling right there. There's a baby zebra to the right. Again, it puts you in these environments. It's so, like, you feel almost, it sounds silly to say, but you feel almost nervous when this baby rhino like walks right up to you, like wants to bury its head in your chest or like in your neck. But it's cool. It's so just cool to experience. Now, there was one more thing that Apple wanted to show me when I was done. But before I get to that, I want to talk about comfort, because I've been seeing a lot online about comfort. And I think I started a whole thing about neck strength on X, and all of a sudden that blew up. And now everyone's talking about neck strength. Now, listen, some people have been saying when they were wearing Vision Pro, they found it to be uncomfortable. I think Joanna Stern was one of them who said after about 20 minutes, she found it to be uncomfortable. Marquez Brownlee, MKBHD, said to him, felt heavy very quickly. Now, this isn't to take anything away from anyone else or anyone else's experience. Everyone has their own experience. Everyone has their own comfort levels. Everyone has their own neck strength. For me, I'm hashtag neck strong. And after about 45 minutes in Vision Pro, when they said, all right, it's time to take it off, for me, I was not feeling a sense of relief. I was feeling a sense of, I could be in here for, another couple hours. I want to finish that Mario movie that I was watching earlier. Let's watch Star Wars after that. You got another battery pack for me? Let's keep going here. I was totally down to stay in Vision Pro because I was not feeling any discomfort. I was not feeling heaviness. I wasn't feeling any of that. I was feeling completely fine. Now, I did mention a little while ago, I have all 3 Meta Quests that have been released. I had the HTC Vive, I have the Oculus Rift, etc. So maybe I'm used to having, those heavier devices, headsets on my face, because the one that I use mostly now, Meta Quest 3, when I have that on, I'm also not itching to take that off. I feel totally fine. So if you've used something like the Meta Quest 3 and you can be inside of that environment for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it might be, and you're fine with it, you're going to be fine with Apple Vision Pro as well. If you're not used to using those things, if you don't have a lot of experience with VR headsets, then maybe I can see why when you put it on, you might be like, oh, this is heavy. This is awkward because it's not natural to have something that heavy just here on your face. I used I think it's called the solo knit strap. So not the one that has two different pieces, just the one piece, which I thought might be uncomfortable and that the two pieces would be more comfortable. I didn't try the two-piece one at all. And the one-piece version, the solo knit, totally fine, at least for me, my head shape, whatever you want to call it. I was totally fine. Again, hashtag neck strong though. I'm not running around out here with a weak neck, but if you are, then you might want to check out Apple Vision Pro at the Apple Store prior to ordering, just to see what kind of calisthenics, I don't even know if that's the word, you need to do for your neck. No, I'm just playing though. For me, comfort was totally fine. I have never, both the first time I used it at WWDC and now, I have not felt that it was too heavy for me to use comfortably, even for an extended period of time. All right, on to the one more thing. I was wearing the Vision Pro and I said, hey, I just took it off and I said, hey, were you able to see my eyes the whole time when I was looking at you? And I was told no. And the reason that my eyes couldn't be seen is because I hadn't set up a persona. That's where you use the Vision Pro to scan your own face to create a digital version of you. It scans your face, scans your head shape, and has you go through a bunch of different exercises like smiling, smile with your mouth closed, smile with your mouth open, blink your eyes, close your eyes, raise your eyebrows, etc. I didn't go through that process, and since I didn't go through that process, EyeSight would not work for my face. However, the next thing we did was leave the room I was in, go to another office, and in there was someone wearing Vision Pro where I could very easily observe and check out EyeSight for the first time in person. It was very, very interesting. So I walked into the room, they were wearing Vision Pro on their head and I could see their digital eye. So you're not looking through obviously Vision Pro and seeing their real eyes, but it gives you that appearance that they're wearing a headset that you can kind of see through and kind of see their eyes through. So it's not totally clear, like a clear piece of glass looking at someone's eyes. It's more like you're looking through maybe like a motorcycle helmet kind of material where you can see the person's face or eyes, but it's like kind of cloudy in a way, which I think, by the way, is better than just making it like clear and bright and like right up front like that. Now, this person was looking at me, giving me their gaze, and therefore I can see their eyes pretty clearly the way I just described it. But then they turned a little bit and they were interacting with an app inside of Vision Pro. Now, I can't see what app they're using, which makes sense, privacy, but I can tell that they are looking at something because they're all of a sudden become something between their EyeSight view and me. It's just like there's just like a random app window that Apple puts there on the outside just to let the person on the outside know, all right, this person knows you're here, who you're having a conversation with, but they're not looking at you right now. They're looking at something inside of Vision Pro. Then when I didn't have their attention anymore at all, the EyeSight would go away and then they would just be the, kind of like the blobs of color on the outside of Vision Pro. Then when they turned back towards me, they were looking at me and I'm looking at them. After a few seconds, those blobs of color would kind of fade away and the EyeSight would come back and I could see their eyes again. And this is supposed to match their expression. So if they're kind of, furrowing their brow or blinking or raising their eyebrows, whatever they're doing on the inside of Vision Pro will get mapped and projected to the person they're speaking to on the outside. And of course, the whole point here is that EyeSight is designed to make sure the user is never isolated from people around them. So even if you're wearing a Vision Pro headset, you can still feel present with people in the real world. And of course, vice versa. Now, the other thing about Vision Pro, as I mentioned earlier, you can take photos with it. You can take spatial photography and spatial videos. There is an indicator on the outside to other people that lets them know when this is happening. So if you press the shutter on the Vision Pro to take a photo, it will turn white on the outside and blink, almost like a subtle flash to let someone know a picture was just taken. If you decide to shoot a spatial video, you press and hold that button on the top, the display in the Vision Pro will softly glow white, kind of just glow off and on, kind of like the old school MacBook Pro, the way the power button would glow when it was charging and sleep. And then when you're done, that will stop blinking. You'll go back to whether it's the blobs of color or the EyeSight to let the person know, okay, that video is no longer being recorded. Now, what are my thoughts? My thoughts are I cannot personally wait to get Vision Pro, and I'm praying. I am praying that I'm able to pre-order. I'm able to get that pre-order through with no problems, and that Vision Pro arrives on my doorstep on February 2nd. I'm so excited to get it in and to just use it, because obviously the 2 times I've used it, I used it with a guide. I've used it with Apple next to me, kind of guiding me through what to do, how long to do it, where I can go, where I can't go. know. I just want to be unleashed in this thing, and I'm so excited to just dive into it and tell you guys more about it, especially those of you who are waiting to hear more about it before spending that $3,500 yourself. Speaking of which, pre-orders start on Friday, January 19th, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, 5 a.m. Pacific, which is disappointing for me over in the Seattle area, but I will be up early to place that order. So again, I hope and pray that I'm able to just get that pre-order in smoothly and easily. Apple Vision Pro starts at $34.99. If you need prescription lenses, those are $150. If you need reading lenses, $99. There are still a couple of mysteries we don't know. There will be storage capacities. We don't know what other kinds of accessories there might be. You will need to scan your face. It only takes about 10 seconds for it to scan your face and head in order to know which light shields you need, which shapes and sizes you need for your specific face. One thing we don't know, will you be able to scan other people so you can add that to your cart? So maybe you and your spouse might each need your own light shield. Can you just scan their face during the checkout process and add their size light shield to your cart? Let's hope you can. Other question, will there be different storage capacities? We know it starts at 256 gigabytes. Will there be a 512 or a 1 terabyte available as well? Apple's been quiet about that. We don't know yet. All that said, we are right at the finish line here. Apple Vision Pro will be arriving in stores and at your doorstep starting on February 2nd. That is literally just about 2 weeks away. And again, I personally cannot wait. Any questions you have about Apple Vision Pro, about my experience, or anything else, leave them in the comments below and we will continue the discussion. Thanks for watching as always, guys. I appreciate your support. I'm Andru, and I will catch you in the next video.